Welcome to the H.I.T podcast, H.I.T, Human Resources, Insurance, and Technology. I'm your host, Toby Kennedy. As we do every week, we are dropping into your feed with what I hope are bite-sized, digestible, really well-curated conversations going on in the space. This week's episode will be no exception. This week's episode is brought to you by Montage Insurance Solutions. And without any further ado, I bring to you an absolute healthcare legend. Cora, we were talking before the cameras heated up that you have been in the healthcare space for 48 years. I have known you for nearly 20 myself in various just unbelievable, awesome roles. And I'm just so grateful to have you on the podcast. So first and foremost, thank you for being here, Cora.
You're very kind. Thank you. And I wanted to remind you that you weren't even born yet when I started my career.
It's true. It's true. I've just been so fortunate to just know you and be around you. But I think to give the audience a quick introduction, do you mind just, I hate to put you on the spot, but can you talk me through kind of your CVs and the places, the stations that you've held in this healthcare ecosystem of ours?
Thank you. Well, I started in 1978. I worked for Kaiser Health Plan here in Oakland, California, where I am currently residing. And I worked in various positions. I was fortunate enough in 1989 to be promoted as regional manager, actually like CEO of Kaiser Honolulu in Hawaii. Toby, somebody had to do it, and it was me, and I'm very grateful. Because you see, I learned so much. I mean, there were so many foundational things that I learned as a leader, and I'm very, very grateful about the lessons around leadership, about culture, about leading. After that, I was recruited by Blue Shield of Northern California in 1994, and I ran the regional, the Bay region for Blue Shield. I was then recruited by Prudential in 1997, and I did that for a year because Prudential, as you know, sold itself to Aetna. So a year later, I'm recruited to be the CEO of California for HealthNet, and I move on, and I ended up running all of the health plan divisions for HealthNet, and I left in 2002. Many reasons for that, but among them, a big trigger was that all this time I've been a commuting wife and mother, 2 sons. And my youngest son said to me, "Mom, I'm probably going to leave California to go to college elsewhere. It'd be great if you could be home in my last year." And I felt enormous guilt. I thought, oh my God, my poor kids are probably going to end up in therapy because they had this horrible mother who
They end up in therapy no matter what we do. It's just the brand of therapy that they end up in, yeah.
So by gosh, I leave my big corporate job, and I saw myself as Betty Crocker. I was going to bake cookies and have milk for the kid.
That's great.
A week later, he says, Mom, I have a girlfriend, and you should really get a life. And I just wept. I thought, really? So for 2 years.
Do you think it was secretly the cookies? They just were a god-awful cookie baking, or what do you think?
I have no idea, but I followed the recipe from Betty Crocker. I mean, I figured out.
Well, it can't be the cookies then. You're right. I put it back on him.
I couldn't compete with a girlfriend. So, okay. So then I end up being recruited by venture capital funds to locate companies that they would buy and I would run. And we did that for 2 years, ended up being at the altar several times and being beaten out by a strategic buyer who was willing to pay more. About this time, this is now 2003, health savings accounts were being debated in Congress, and I saw an opportunity. I thought, I can do that, because then I had this view that if we could only have an economic incentive for people to use health resources carefully, that would help bend the cost curve. I'm 55 years old, and I'm going to start my company called Sterling HSA. And I got that name because of a broker I'd worked with. And he said, Cora, you have a sterling reputation in our industry. And I thought, oh, Sterling, that sounds like a good name. So I started my company, and I bombed horribly in raising money, Toby. I figured, here I am, an experienced person. I know what I'm doing. I go to Silicon Valley, and they said, there's no tech. This is insurance, and you're in the service industry. Anyway, bombed, raised no money. And I raised money from family and friends, and I was determined that I could make a go of it. And with the help of our team, got it to break even in year 3. So I started that in '04. The company's 24 years old now.
Yeah.
Happy to tell you, we're still independent. We formed an ESOP
Oh, that's
to
awesome.
because it mattered to me to take care of our employees. I want to die knowing that I've taken care of them.
Yeah.
And so after my family, our employees through the ESOP is the second largest shareholder of Sterling. And I
That's
couldn't be.
amazing.
So in the meantime, of course, I had other things I was doing. I started the Amazing Care Charitable Foundation. It's a
Yeah.
nonprofit foundation. And it had to do with solving problems as we age. I had personal experiences with it. Lost my husband 8 years ago to cancer and figured out that caregiving is a really tough place for people who don't have money. Um, Aging is a tough place, period. But it is particularly so when your family and the patient are fearful, you're afraid, you're anxious. And so I recruited retired physicians to help, and they're called physician friends of the family. And so I provide that service so that if people are conflicted, then they can call on our physician. They're there to minister and take care of the family, not the patient. In
Yeah.
fact, I make sure that our physician no longer has an active medical license
Yeah.
because your job is not to duke it out with a patient's physician. Your job is to help the family figure out what are options for care, as I did with my husband.
Yeah.
We also recruited pharmacists because my husband had horrible ill effects from chemo, and I needed to know what work can we do. So the Amazing Care Foundation exists today. You're looking at the sole employee. Someday I'll raise enough money I could hire a person. So that is a lifelong passion.
Yeah.
Now, currently, I'm incubating 3 companies.
Yeah.
One is Posara Quantum, and it uses the AI technology that my son, you remember the kid who said, be
Uh-huh.
nice, stay home, and
Uh-huh.
dumped me? Uh-huh. But he's been in this field for 15 years,
Yeah.
and he's developed platforms that help us identify risks when falling. And my
Yeah.
husband fell several times in the
Yeah.
last months of his life. So this is a very personal quest. And I'm happy to tell you we're doing well. We have a contract with the state of Hawaii. Various organizations are looking at us.
Yeah, I mean that's really amazing, and obviously, as you know, my on ramp into your fantastic career was at Sterling, who I think it's gone from Sterling HSA now to just Sterling Administration because you guys have grown so far beyond just simply being an HSA administrator, and that's awesome, and you're sort of moving too quick and are a little too humble to discuss just how successful all those stints really were, and so I want to make sure that I punctuate that and to honestly thank you for being a part of this healthcare ecosystem. In the beginning, as you talked about lessons learned and lessons learned in leadership and team building, even, I wanted to circle back to that and kind of hear from you. Just, if you've got managers listening out there or folks that are leading teams out there, while I have you in the chair, would just really love to pick your brain on kind of, what successfully leading a team, building a culture, some of those things. Can you kind of give me some Cora-isms?
Okay. Well, one that I tell people is to take risks. And the quote, it's not mine, that I love is a winner is a loser who got up one more time.
Yeah.
That's really important because in our business, as you know, you've got lots of pressures from employers, your own employees, the government, all kinds of things. And it's easy to get knocked down. So you got to keep going up. So that's one. And for leaders, I tell our team here, our managers, it begins with you, but it's not about you.
Mm.
It's a really tough thing for people to understand sometimes because we get caught up
Yeah.
in our view of things. And I have to remind them, this is not about you. It's about your team. It's what we're trying to do. It's overcoming hardships, overcoming challenges.
Yeah.
And the third is no one succeeds alone.
Yeah.
Get over yourself, right? You need partners with you all the time. For example, Sterling never sells direct. I made that really clear. We work with broker partners. We work with partners because it's the only way to make it in this world. So no one does it alone. You have to work with other people. So those are 3.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. With the new company, talk to me a little bit about getting something off the ground and maybe even getting something off the ground again and potentially in a different season of, the country in America. Like, I don't know, is launching a company now different than it was, 25 years ago? Talk to me about some of that.
It's very interesting. The challenges are the same, right? You have to articulate a vision. Why on earth are you starting this company? You need to have people with you to help you implement that vision, and you need capital. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have capital, you're dead. And it's the same sort of message that I would tell an entrepreneur, and I tell myself all the time. Emotional resilience is important. You're
Mm,
going to get knocked down. Or I tell myself much nicer, I have to kiss thousands of frogs to
yeah.
find my one true prince, or
Yeah.
several princes. But it takes that kind of effort to believe in it and to believe in yourself. And also to know when it's time to fold. I think that's very hard for an entrepreneur, because you so believe in your dream and what you're done, what you've done, and you can't understand why people aren't flocking at your door. Well,
Right.
no, they have lots of competing interests, and you're just one of them.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear you say that the challenges are the same because I think that should resonate. Like if you drill down on that idea, what we're really saying is the reason that wisdom from people that have done this before is so important and just so important to sit down and listen to is that sometimes I think we think we're doing this for the first time or things are different now or yada, yada, yada. But really, the meat and potatoes of so much of success in business. I mean, it's why one of the best-selling books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's like 120 years old or whatever. It's like you still read that today. It's a great book. Like it's really really meaningful. So I'm grateful to hear you kind of reiterate that.
I also think it's important to reflect on mistakes.
Yeah.
What didn't go right? And that's one of the things that we do here is we're not into blame assessment at Sterling. We ask what didn't go right? What could we have done differently? What are we going to do going forward? And so this is about learning, in that learning circuit, not blame assessment, because it's easy to fall into that. It's really easy to beat yourself up, by the way, as an entrepreneur. Oh my God, I should have done a better job. Why didn't I do this? Blah, blah, blah. Well, get over it. It's done. Now, what are you
Yeah.
going to do differently tomorrow or today?
Yeah. One theme I'm almost hearing is, and I'd like to pick your brain about it's almost like a discernment sort of a thing because a couple of things you mentioned where it's like you need to know like resilience, right? Like when do I keep going, right? That's it. That's not just a grittiness. There's also a wisdom to it because the counter to that, as you mentioned, is when to fold, right? And so there's kind of a discernment between when am I pounding my head against the wall for something that I'm trying to boil the ocean. It's just not going to happen versus when am I just that I'm picturing there's the like meme image of a guy digging in a diamond mine. He's got this huge tunnel and he just turns up and gives away. And like what you see is that, there was a diamond right there, right? And you just maybe were one thing away. And I wonder that and how it ties into, as you said, reflecting upon mistakes, right? Because you need to reflect wisely. You need to see when should I have kept going? When shouldn't I have kept going? When did I need to fill into the grit? What mistakes did I make? And I think all of that has maybe a je ne sais quoi to it that I'd like you to unpack for me.
So I'm really good at talking about my failures. So at Sterling, I launched several things that frankly did not work. I remember that I remember this one that I thought, by golly, we can make this work. We can differentiate ourselves. I thought that we could get in the self-insurance business and administer claims. We would be the TPA, right?
Yeah.
Because insurance is my background. Gosh, I know how to do that. And we folded a year and a half later.
Mm-hmm.
We had a very good soul searching conversation among my team about what didn't go right and what should we do differently. And I remember feeling particularly down with my IT team. And I said, gosh, you used all of this time and money to create this. And they looked at me and said, frankly, Cora, that was the best thing you could have done. And I said, how could that be? He said, because you force us to modularize our project. So now we can mix and match all of these things. And we would not have done it without that impetus.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, I couldn't appreciate that was a great thing. I mean, I poured all this money,
Yeah.
disappointed people, blah, blah, blah. But it was only afterwards that I thought, okay, there's a silver lining to this.
Mm-hmm.
And one is that you learn Our team figured out what we're going to do differently. We have launched other products that have succeeded, but that helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Helped me figure out, and then the emotional resilience to say, this is not going to be the killer. We're gonna come back from this, and we're gonna figure out how we can do better.
Yeah, I think that that's probably a good way to put a through line into some of this, which is that when you're looking to reflect on mistakes and you're possibly soul searching for some grit, finding the silver lining in the mistake, finding, because almost nothing's just an abject failure, right? Like you said, usually something is salvageable or usable, or we can, if nothing else, literally get the lessons out of it, right? Or maybe even your IT people go, look, Cora, we're not going to use a single thing that we did, but we learned so much more about coding or this or that. We really stretched ourselves. We like, there should be something that you go, all right, guys, this piece of what we, pour time, energy, and money into can be usable going forward. But again, I think that maybe comes back to a degree of like sobriety and discernment and just kind of looking at this stuff with good, smart, clear eyes, and maybe even good people, as you said, because you don't do it alone.
Exactly. I chair a nonprofit board, and I'm going to have to deliver some tough news today. And it has to do with saying we're not going to make it with the people we have today, that the bandwidth isn't there. And unlike fine wines, personnel problems don't age well.
Yeah, they age like milk.
No, they don't do well. And the sooner you deal with it, the better, because it has negative repercussions for the morale in the company if you somebody on. And so it's one of the lessons too about if it's not going to work, cut your losses now, and don't keep going, because it will not get better over time.
I wonder what you would say to the following, which is that I think the ability to say it's not going to work, I need to cut my losses, ties directly into something that you just ooze, Corey. Even when you joke about I'm so good at talking about my mistakes, et cetera, and that's you can't have your ego in the way. You can't be clouded by ego, and I think that your just success and just the way you position your conversations is such a great reminder that if we can tamp that down, that piece of ourselves down a little bit, boy, maybe some things might work out a little bit better.
Remember what I said? It begins with me, but it is not about me.
Yeah.
And that's something that I have to remind myself again and again. Cora, you may have started this, but it's not about you. Yeah. It's about the goals you're trying to achieve, helping people achieve their goals, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
How do you come to that clarity, and where do you place good partners, advisors, trusted ears, right-hand man sort of a thing in this equation?
Well, so Toby, I'm 77 years old. For God's sakes, I should have learned a couple of things. One is I'm much better now at trusting my gut about people who I think we would work with, where our values are compatible.
Yeah.
And for some people, we're just not in sync, and maybe the timing is wrong. Yeah. So I appreciate that too. And it may not work this year, but 10 years from now, who knows? This will be a different person. I'll be a different person, and we'll work better together. But for now, if it's not going to work, I move on.
Yeah.
But for people for whom I think we are a great fit, then I nourish that relationship. I cultivate that relationship. I make sure I stay in touch with people, and they with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, case in point, right? Not only just me and you, but even our CEO and founder, Danan, and you have been wonderful professional friends. It's been really sweet.
Very long time. I think one of the gifts of this profession is you begin as business colleagues, and then you end up as friends.
Yeah.
Friends who are with you, and that is such a gift.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's wonderful.
It's interesting too, because I find there's a lot of, and this isn't necessarily true with everyone, but you're closer in sort of peer status with folks. And then over the years, if we're all doing this right, you kind of continue maintaining peer status insofar as we were all kind of green together, and then we're all kind of early managers together, and now we're all in leadership together, just as like a crop. And of course, people come and go in that, but nurturing those relationships, I think, and then being able to sort of lean on folks that are now in, much more influential roles that you've known for quite some time.
You bet. And it's an important lesson for aging well, professionally and personally.
Yeah.
That it takes a village, and it's a village that you create. It's a professional village of family and friends and colleagues.
And it's also, I think it's a testament to, there's a sort of old school business philosophy, in my opinion, that's a little less transactional than some of, I think, today's maybe younger people might be wrongly approaching their employer employee or even mentor mentee relationships, where it feels like, oh, the employer doesn't care about me and me about them. And, this is truly just transactional. And I just wonder if this can be almost a tale for younger budding professionals to kind of, really appreciate, as you mentioned, the professionalism, because you said, like you say, maybe 10 years from now, right? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where you're going. My crystal ball don't work any better than yours.
Right, that's right. However, in life, in professional life and in life in general, it takes a village. I can't emphasize it enough. And a village I use both personally and professionally. We say that it takes a village to raise a child. My view is it takes a village to grow up and to grow well,
Yeah.
in our hundreds. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really important thing. One quick anecdote. I have a very strong interest in why people age well.
Yeah.
So I went to Okinawa and I met women, mostly women, and the average age was 97.
Yeah.
And among the reasons they said that they age well wasn't just food and exercise, but that they had a purpose in life.
Yeah.
That's what's the purpose in life. And they said, we look out after one another. This is
Yeah.
our village. And I thought, what a powerful lesson for all of us. Yeah.
So the idea of not only a purpose, but in their case, the purpose doesn't need to be putting a man on the moon sort of a thing, right? It's literally just taking care of the guy next to me.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's taking care of other people.
Yeah.
And all of us do that in various ways, right? So, and the way you take care of others might be very different from the way Danan takes care of others or
Sure.
I. Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's part of what we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, there's something to trying to like live in accord with your sort of core values and what you're kind of made to be. And it doesn't need to get into religion or philosophy, but just
That's
truly
right.
like the way humans are wired in general, right? And whatever kind of brush you paint that with, but it all does circle back to a little bit of, doing right and taking care of one another.
You bet. You bet.
Cora, before we get out, any last words of wisdom, any more of these wonderful anecdotes that you might have?
Oh, I don't think I have any, except you really do things that nourish you.
Yeah.
Nourish your soul. And unrelated to work. I think my husband taught me that creativity is healing. So after he died, I picked up quilting. I'm an amateur quilter. I watch YouTube all the time. And I think, oh my God, that's why it didn't work. So I go back. But quilting helped me. And it made me painting for people, gardening for people. But something like that, creativity is healing. Creativity helps us also wire our brains differently.
Yeah.
So we look at a problem differently because of it. So
Yeah.
that's one last thing I want to highly recommend to people. Do something that gives you joy, that
Yeah.
excites you.
That's gorgeous. I feel so convicted now personally. I'm like, dang, I should like go sketch or paint or something. She's right. It even just like settles your mind and your heart and your energy a little bit and gives you a different vibration for the day or the moment. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on, Cora Tellez, my dear friend and wonderful human that I just look up to so much. Thank you so much for being on here. Thank you guys for joining us. That's all the time we have this week. Thank you to our sponsors, Rula, Excel Health, TrueHue, Montage Insurance Solutions, the guys keeping the lights on. We are blessed to be here. Join us next week. Join us every week. And until next week, make this the best week yet.